ones do you have that would go together in the same generation?
Any more hobbies?
That's how you want to separate them first.
Anyone who has their pictures, it was in a pictures that open to the public. Anyone who has their pictures with them, the first thing you want to do is separate them into generations. Because the worst thing you want to do with scrapbooking is not be organized. Organization is a key element in scrapbooking. Is there anyone here who has never had scrapbooking, done scrapbooking whatsoever? Anyone who has done some?
Yeah, when I was second grade.
So we have it next year, so we'll be able to do good. I'm just going to show you very quickly. This is kind of what we're looking to do. I'm in the middle of it. I just started it. I did a generation one before. I've done other kinds. Anyone who was here for the meeting, I think it was toward the end of last year, Carol had come and done a scrapbooking presentation with us. She had different size albums, and it doesn't really matter what size you have. I like to work with the 12 by 12 format because it just gives me more room. I'm not confined to one picture and a little bit of journaling. I can express myself a little bit better. This is basically a page just saying I'm doing this to preserve all of our heritage, and as time goes on, our minds slowly erase things, and this is why I'm doing this for my family. Please pass it on down. Basically, that's what that is. I'm in the middle of this page. What I'm doing here is what I started with was my mother, my father, and then my siblings. I wasn't raised with them, so for me, it's been hard getting pictures and everything together. But I did okay. My husband's bringing them. He's not here yet. I forgot them at home, but I do have a family tree sheet for each one of you to take home tonight, where you can do your heritage so that you can put it right in your scrapbook. My mother, my father. The nice thing about scrapbooking is you can use any kind of elements that you want. Here I've used some ribbon to tie in with the colors and pull the colors out. Stamping, if anyone knows about stamping, is something I just got into. I'm not crazy about it, but there are times that it works. Here I've done our family tree, and this is the only picture I have where we actually have the 6 of my 8 siblings together. This was the very last picture that we had any of us in a group together. So I'm going to put this with this, and then what I'm going to do is pick a picture of each of us and cut a circle out. I'm going to put this one in the middle, and then I'm going to put us all around it, like an older picture. These were ones, this was taken 1959, I think, was the last year we were all together. And then what I did was I individually separated, started with the oldest sibling, worked on down. What I'm doing is, with my circumstance, I'm taking pictures prior to when we were all together, and then later on in the book, I haven't started that part of it yet, then I'm going to go into each of us with our extended families as we got older up to when we got married and our children. Scrapbooking doesn't have to be expensive, or it could be expensive depending on what you want to do and how much you want to invest into it. You can do very simple things that can enhance photos and not cost you a lot of money. Again, I like ribbon a lot, and you'll see it used in different areas in different books. This is just a piece of ribbon pulling in the colors. And all I did here was I used what's called corner punches. And I'll show you the effects of each one. I'm sure you'll like to try them because they really give you a nice effect. There's different kinds there. It rounds the corner. And then what I did to bring in the blacks of the old age a little bit, I simply put them in where I wanted them to be, and then I just outlined everything in the black. and it just pulled the colors in a little bit to make everything consistent. Not look blah, just add a little bit, but a very inexpensive page to do. And again, a very inexpensive page to do. This is just letter stamps, like an old heritage type one, and I took them out. What I did was each child, my oldest sister, and this is just a fancy cut that I have. I took the color of this, enhanced it here, and brought the border into the border. And here, what I did again is there's this little bit of black. I had an extra page of it, and what I did was I just cut that little bit out, put it on here, just went over it a little bit, enough to draw one page to the other. Still inexpensive and affordable. This was actually one Christmas. It's the only Christmas pictures I have of any of us, and the nice thing is they're me. So 3 of my siblings, and I just took some stickers with Christmas. Stencils are a wonderful tool. They stretch your budget, so that's what we use there. And here we have, they came out a couple years ago with shaped things. Instead of having to try to tear them yourself or buy the shaped paper, now they came out with the rulers and stuff, you can actually make your own. And that's what I did here. To bring in the black again, I didn't want to use Christmassy stuff because this is summer now. So what I did to still bring the black in was I just took this, tore my paper around the edge, put it on the bottom and the top, and just took a straight piece of the black, and again, cut a little piece of this, put it in the middle to tie everything together, and then just put a little bit about this 3 siblings here that my mother told me about them.
Are you trying to do the black throughout the album?
No. No, I'm trying to keep to the heritage colors, but eventually it's not going to work as the generations get older and older. As you can see already, this was my youngest sibling. And with this one, as you said, we pulled away from that, and Chris did my corner punches. The corner punch that I used for this, if you like this effect and you would like it, is this one right here. This is called matting. What you do is you take your picture, you cut a little bit out as though you're looking at a picture frame, the matting that you have in the picture frame. And if anyone's interested in trying this, I'll show you how to do it. And a special corner punch where you punch, it makes a little bit of a cut in there, and then you can put your picture through it and you'll have the effect like that. There's other ones in the other books, other techniques and stuff. If there's anything you see that you'd like to try, let me know and I'll try to get around to everyone. Let's see what I didn't cover. I want to make sure I at least cover everything so you know what's here. I'm a terrible handwriter. I avoid it at all costs. But in scrapbooking, one of the things that you're passing down as a legacy is your handwriting. Everyone writes different. You always are fascinated when you come across some old signatures or old letters of your relatives and studying their autographs, their writing, so am I. But I use a cheat because I hate to, and I'm a terrible writer. I had just out of the clear blue come up with this one day, and then later on, about a year or 2 later, I was reading in a scrapbooking thing on how to keep your writing nice and neat if you're a terrible writer. All you do, you can either do it this way or else, bring the pencils with the erasers. Okay, good. All right, pencil with an eraser. When you're using an eraser, make sure on scrap paper that you get one that is really nice, clean. You know how some of those erasers leave yuck on them? You don't want that. It's really going to ruin everything you've accomplished. Make sure that your erase is nice and clean. When you're writing, make sure everything is totally dry before you go and try to erase anything that you have there. When you're drawing your lines or whatever you want to draw, do it light, dark enough that you can see it, but light enough that it's going to erase clean. And a good way to try that is your paper always has two sides. You're using the one side, and of course your other side's going to be inside. What I do is I use the reverse side that I'm not using, and anything I want to try, I'll do it on this side. Okay? Because sometimes, thank you, darling, I love you. Want to put them up there? Lots of times what you see in your mind isn't what ends up on the paper. So it's always better to lay things out, double check your colors on your back. What I do with the ruler is I'll take my pencil, make sure my ruler is right at the end, draw myself a nice line, and then with the ruler, so that I can write nice and neat. Now, it's going to feel very awkward when you first start, and you don't start right to the line because the ruler forces you to write a little bit higher. So let's say we're writing hello. And let's say the word day. Now, day has long letters. You're going to have to stop. What you do is move your eraser and just go down and finish it. And that could be anywhere where you have longer lines. Your writing is nice and neat. You pass it around so you won't be able to see it. But your writing is nice and neat. It's consistent. It's straight. And I know I'm happier with it.
Is that the only purpose someone would use a ruler?
No.
Because I know someone that does, and he's in business,
I was just
and he always uses a ruler.
I was just going to go into some other examples for you of why you would use a ruler. I'm very orderly. Tom worked with me. He knows how orderly and specific and organized I am. When you're titling, if you can title anywhere, up, down, sideways, whatever you want. If you want to center something, the way you would do it is, of course, you would measure first. This is a 12-inch page, so we know at 6 is half. What I do is I'll write down what I want. I'll figure out where the middle of that would be. That's where I'm going to start. And what I do, because I won't get it straight if I don't, I work from wherever the middle is to the end, and then I'll go over here and I'll work backwards so that I have it the way I want. That would be one of the instances that you want to use a ruler.
You said those are stamps or they're
These are the, they're letters, but the ones with the blue on the back. I don't know if yeah, he did bring me a couple things. Another instance might be, same thing, if you want to letter it going up and down instead of this way. Same thing, you check where your middle is and go back and forth. Another thing for a ruler, it's terrible to write straight, and I don't like things all over the place. So again, what I do is I would use my ruler, draw my lines that I need lightly, and then after the ink is dried, erase them when I'm done. And then you have nice neat lines, except one, I don't know how I ended up doing up a little downhill. But that's another reason that you would use a ruler. I always keep a ruler, usually 2 good pencils with good erasers, sharp scissors, and then my acid-free ink pens and markers. You're welcome to use any of these. I'll explain them real quick so you know what you're looking at.
We also have those glittery
The
kind.
ones here are the gel pens. Before you start writing, do it on the back of your paper. Make sure that it's flowing, because some of them I use frequently, some I don't.
Yeah.
You're using both of them. Weren't you using this one?
No.
Oh, you were using that, okay. But check them and make sure they write before you start writing and ruin your page. I don't want that to happen. These are called writers. I have a couple different kinds here. one end, and you'll see what the indication is. They'll tell you the color on them, so you know what you're using, plus your color guides. And they will show you a thick mark on it and a thinner mark, and that just shows you which end is which when you're writing. That's thin, and that would be thick. Okay, so that's the effect you're going to have. And again, feel free to try things out before you go to use them.
And we also have the glitter
Why don't
kind,
you get, bring
which
that-
these
bring
ones
that
don't have
chair
the
over.
marks, they just have the little,
Okay.
it has like little 1.2, that's the fat side.
Okay, and then we have shape scissors. There's all different shapes, they show you right on the scissors what they are. And there's a couple things that are flat. What you'll be able to do, and this is just a sample, could be thicker, thinner, smaller, bigger, whatever. But it gives you shape instead of just the plain look. And here's the effects of it here. And I'm sure in the other scrapbooks there probably are ones of that. That's shape scissors.
Thinner side gives you bigger.
Glue sticks, everyone has a glue stick. These I need back when you're done. These I don't, these are a gift from me to you. What they are is my way of helping you get organized. Your photos go in here, and it has 5 dividers, most of them have 5 dividers. It's a system I used, and now I don't use it anymore, so I'm giving them away for you. And it has little stickers that you can label each thing what you have in it. And also,
The scissors here,
these are also for you. This is just a simple page. But what you want to do, if you're really going to get into this and you're really interested, get yourself a scrapbook. These are called page protectors. And then what you do is you just insert your sheet into it after you're done. And it has a back too. So if you do more than one page tonight, you'll be all set.
what about these?
Okay. And glue sticks is they're all the same, huh? They're all shape scissors. Glue sticks, some of these I've used recently, some I haven't. If you find that it's not sticking, let me know and get rid of that one and you can share it with another person. I only have 2 cutters. And when you're ready to cut, let me know, because if you don't set them right, you're gonna mess your pictures up, and you don't want that. That would not be good. Okay.
You're really into this.
I've done workshops, I've done a lot of, I did some at the library with the younger kids this past summer, and they said the adults want me to do them too, so.
This page is for that size book. What size book would you call that?
This is a 12 by 12, 12 by 12 format.
I was in Ollie's one day, and they had a whole bunch of these scrapbooking things there. They really, they seem to be at a reduced price, I mean,
Up there they are. I go up there sometimes, I find things that I don't find other places. Okay, and then the other thing that you can use for putting your pictures and stuff in, can you get that please? These are called mounting adhesive squares. What you do with these is you will put them on the back of your picture. Okay, let's say this is your picture. Put them on the back of your picture. And the blue part, you can take that off, it's two-sided, you have your other part there to stick. And you may think, like kids do, that you need a lot of glue to make things stick, but unless something is a really heavy picture, or heavy material, you really shouldn't worry about overdoing the sticking, because it all works real good without overdoing. The corner punches, I think we pretty much went over those. This one is going to give you, just to show you the effects of them. This has a little squiggly design on it. At the top, it's going to give you like a heritage type corner. And you'll see that used in my heritage book. This one is just rounded. It's going to give you, again, the old look. no, this is not the one I got. All right, this one goes in, this one goes out, heritage corners. This is the soft one.
Mom,
This
Mom.
is just going to be a simple rounded, just so you know what the shapes are that you're working with. And then we have, good, and then we have the, if you're using these at all, the one thing you want to make sure is that you push it in tight. There's lines here where you line your photo up or whatever you're doing. Make sure it's in there nice and square, otherwise the cut isn't going to be good. Don't be afraid to push down nice and firm. Make sure you have it on a level surface with nothing underneath it. It'll cut much better. If you have problem taking it out, let me know and I'll help you, because once in a while, for some reason or other, it just gets stuck. You know what, there's paper in this. Let's put this one aside for tonight.
What do you want?
Just up there. And this is that corner punch that I was showing you the effect of that. And this you would only do if you're matting.
Also, when you're taking these out, in a compartment. So is this one?
And that would be your corner punch. One thing I did forget was some baggies. I always, when I'm teaching, I always say, clean up as you go along. I put a baggie by each chair, or a little garbage pail. As you have garbage, immediately put it away. Otherwise, it gets messy. You could get messed in with your book, your pages and everything, so you don't want that. Any questions before we start?
What do you use to label the back of a photograph before you get to this stage?
Okay, very important question.
See through and-
I'm glad you asked. Very important question, and Tom, I got that answer for that vanishing pen. Our pH tester for acid-free. Main term in scrapbooking when you're getting supplies is acid-free. Very, very important. Just like you see old pages of the newspaper fading, crinkling, yellowing, the same is going to happen. I'm sure you've already seen it happen with photos. I've seen already some my mother gave me. Pens, pencils, anything will eat through your photos unless it's acid-free. Unfortunately, in the old days, we didn't know that, and some photos you'll see, if there was writing on it, you can actually see it eating through a little bit. What you want to do, again, everything you buy for scrapbooking, before labeling your photos, remember 2 words, acid-free. If you get them, you'll be okay.
Two of acid-free.
And that's what you would use, instead of using pens or pencil, an acid-free marker or pen is going to do it for you.
You mean by writing on the back of the photo?
Yes,
You use the acid-free or eventually,
it'll eat through like
It goes
anything
through.
else. The same on your scrapbooking pages when you're writing, acid-free.
That'd be like the Zig markers, they're acid-free.
If they say acid-free on them, more than likely Michael's, AC Moore,
Mom, these are
places where they,
acid-free.
places where they sell scrapbooking stuff. I didn't realize it because someone else picked me up with glue sticks, thought they were doing me a favor. And when I was looking through them tonight, getting my glue sticks together, a lot of the Elmer's glue that the kids have, it's washable, everything else, didn't say acid-free on it. So I had to separate all that. So don't think just because you see a tube like this, oh good, this is acid-free glue, I'm fine, don't work. Make sure it says acid-free on it, because they're not all acid-free.
so Kathy, I was big on having the folks label the pictures, label the back, put the names of the people on, because eventually they're not gonna know who these people are or
You know
something.
what to do? Have them put them in a baggie or something with a little note on it. If they don't have an acid-free marker or something,
Yeah,
have them,
but I never had an acid-free, so, just,
well, whatever you've done is done. From now on, if you don't take anything away from you tonight,
okay.
that's one thing I want you to take away, acid-free.
Kathy, can I make a comment? We
Yes.
get a lot of pictures donated to us at the society, they'll say Uncle Bill and Aunt Mary. Uncle Bill who and Aunt Mary who, so it'd be nice if you put the last
Exactly.
names on some of those
The
things.
important thing, when you're labeling pictures, that's another good point, Joe. Another thing, when you're labeling pictures, as he said, I have so many pictures that I'm heartbroken about, because when my grandmother passed away and I had to break up the house for my uncle, I came across the lot, and even my mother doesn't know who they are. We have pictures of my great-great-grandmother Emily waiting by the pier to go back to England because they were from England. At least some of them were labeled. But there's so many other ones that aren't, and I'm heartbroken because I'm so desperate to know my family and to pass this legacy to my children. And I can't, because there's hardly anyone left that I can get it from. The date, last names, not only first names, where the photo was taken, preferably if you can, the age of the person in it, because people looking at that may see the picture was taken in 1967, but we don't know how old Aunt Bill or Uncle Joe was, or whoever. So anything like that that you know that you would want is what you're going to put on that picture. Especially if you're doing scrapbooking, because all of that information is so incorporated into telling your story. You don't have the backs of the pictures to look at when you're doing scrapbooking. You have whoever told you what you know, what you see, and that's it. So little things like that. That was a good question, Joe.
And Mom,
The question on if it's pH. pH test, it means that it is acid-free. If you write on something and it turns purple after you use a pH tester, Vanish, no, that's a vanishing.
leave the other two.
Oh, where are they, honey? Where'd you put them?
I gave them to you.
pH tester, here we go. All right. If it turns purple, it's acid-free. I checked. Because I was embarrassed that I didn't know I made scrapbooking so much, and I always make sure everything's acid-free. If it turns purple, then it's acid-free, you're fine.
Blue.
One more thing. When you have old newspaper clippings and stuff, if you just put them in your scrapbook just like that without doing anything, they are going to yellow and crack and everything regardless of if you use some pH stuff all around them. There is a spray out there for newspapers and stuff like that. Very expensive. I went to buy a bottle the other day because I haven't bought it in the past, and there's areas where I should have, but I wasn't aware of it at the time. It's $40 a bottle, and it's only a small bottle. Make sure you take a 40 or 50% coupon, or if someone's buying you a gift and you have newspaper things, and if it's something you're really into scrapbooking, ask them if they, add it to your I want list or I need list, whatever you call it. You use very little of it, but from talking to other people, it goes pretty fast. But it is necessary if you're going to use newspaper clippings. So, I don't have that with me to show you. It's your bottle. Okay, put that with the truck, right?
What is it, a spray, acid-free?
You spray it, let it dry really good, and then you can put it in your book like you normally would. There's one other thing, and since I've started using the ruler, I don't find much of a need for it, and it does save me a little bit. I think it's easier just using the ruler. Vanishing pen. What you do with this is pretty neat. It's a nice handy tool. Draw your line. And what happens is the line is so light, you can pass it around. By the time you're done writing everything, that line is pretty much going to disappear. So it's a nice way of drawing a line without leaving a mess behind and worrying about erasing and everything else.
What did you call it again?
Vanishing pen.
Vanishing.
Mhm. They're hard to find. They go pretty fast when they hit the store.
Okay.
But it's a pretty neat tool if you're going to be into. Okay, now, do we have any questions before we get started?
Did you ever mount 10 types in the book?
Pardon?
10 type pictures, you ever mount them in there? And how would you mount them with the same?
The tin type, there are different types of glue and stuff. There's all different types. That would be a heavier type material.
Yeah.
So, I don't have the bigger ones with me, I only got the small ones, because I didn't think anyone would have. But there's things called, there's all different types of glues and stickers and everything. This would be like small dots. Now, they have larger ones. So the larger they have, and there's some that are very strong, they're like maybe a good ½ inch, maybe a 3/4 inch dot, but they'll hold the heavier stuff. And that's what I
One
recommend
in each
for doing.
corner, like 4 of them.
Yeah, and if it's extra heavy, depending on the weight of something, sometimes I'll even
Yeah.
put one in the middle. Mhm. Okay, anyone else?
Can I see that just a minute?
Sure. Just the book.
We also have a little.
Okay. All right, if you want to pull out your pictures that you have. Again, like I said, if you're looking for ideas, I showed you some there. I did bring 2 heritage type books with me. Here's the other one, so if you need to look through those at all. If you need more arm room, you can spread out a little more. And pull out your pictures and let's go to work.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
With the fading and all that, the older pictures from newspapers getting them. My mother claims, and it works to some extent anyway, she wraps the paper in saran wrap and she puts it away for 10 years, whatever she pulls, and then she pulls it out, and it's not quite perfect, but it's better than if you didn't use anything.
I never heard of
Twist
that.
that so you can see the writing.
I would be
I'll tell her the first, she got something.
Yeah, well, just with the
I
word,
would
that's
just
all.
be afraid
But I'm
to
saying,
really
look how
have
nice
to
she
control
writes.
the kind of temperature that
So
she
even
had
if
in
she
the
wrote slanted, who cares?
My father used to
Oh,
answer.
she just puts that on the shelf in the
Because-
bedroom, rather than-
because,
Lines underneath,
Yeah,
red wrap
line paper.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then he used to go with that.
sticks.
but she has nice handwriting
Well, it doesn't-
and no glasses.
It sticks to ceramic, it doesn't stick to the newspaper.
He's probably, well,
You can get it, it'll stick to the newspaper too.
I would be afraid after a while, it's just like plastic or anything. Yeah.
Oh, I suppose,
I
yeah.
really have my conditions that you see.
Yeah, well, she swears by it, but I just never know whether it was real or not.
Okay. Okay, everyone bring pictures.
Woodworking and everything.
Who didn't bring pictures? Oh, who brought pictures? Okay, one person brought pictures.
Well,
All right,
like I said, I got so much problems.
Okay,
at
well,
home
you know what?
literally, who has
you
time
can
to
look
get
at, you can look at things,
And
ask me questions if there's anything you see, and you can all get some ideas from here.
That was the last thing in my mind, these pictures.
And that was the one thing everyone was supposed to bring.
Everybody knew they were supposed to bring it.
Yeah,
they just
well, yeah, we mentioned that at the last meeting, but that's okay.
didn't. We
Because
mentioned
now,
it. They mentioned on the sheets we put out, and we put it in the happy, or,
that's
Hey, Billy,
okay,
Benny.
so you get a chance to,
it's all their fault, Kathy.
oh, that's okay.
We told them.
Yes, dear.
Can I actually explain one thing what you do with these?
Sure, go ahead, my mommy's pulling out some stuff.
And also when you have paper, you need paper. Also when you have paper and when you're using these, you put it on the paper, press
So you
it
can
down.
show them, yeah, you can show them how to do this.
Really hard.
That's a good idea.
That's cute, I can, go around for a short period of time, so
Yes.
give the whole scenario set up.
Plus, he's done, we do this in 4-H too, and this year his scrapbook won first place.
No kidding, that's wonderful.
So he's into it pretty good.
Very good.
Notice I got something.
Christopher, that's very good.
All right, for those who didn't bring pictures tonight, if it's okay with Joe,
Shame on you.
would you like to do this? Again, now that you know what you're gonna be doing? You wanna show, raise it, Raise your hands if
You
you
know, like my
like
kids
to bring
had
your pictures and do
a piece
hands
of
on.
coal when they took the coal mine tour and stuff like that.
We had a dozen men raise their hands at the last meeting, I
I
thought for
know
sure
they
that they
did.
would be here, and
I think, you know what, they may have thought that it was gonna be along the line of Carol's presentation.
well, we'll ask you to do it
Hmm.
again. If that's okay with you, I mean, it's,
Yeah, no
we
problem.
can make
Okay.
sure they
By
know.
a raise
Like I
of,
said,
by a
just
show of hands,
like
if we
here.
set this up again,
Who's
how
got
many
this?
of you would be interested in coming with pictures and actually doing, now that you know what we're doing?
This age. Yeah.
Show of hands?
1, 2, 3, how many? 4, 5,
Yeah, yeah.
6, 7, 8.
I'm not into this.
So we'll have a dozen. All right, we'll do that.
That'd be enough, that'd be
I
fine
don't
with me.
have trouble doing that. I know I could add things like this if I went to.
All right.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Maybe
you
the
can-
reason I started this,
Yeah.
which
This is also a good idea.
for my mother.
You can cut around the picture.
I did all the pictures actually.
Yeah, it's.
That's the whole thing,
Somebody's
we're getting
here
started.
at the back.
We're just starting, you know, a
Yeah.
couple pages.
Yeah.
For her
Look at the
80th.
animals.
Just zoom in, from
Yeah.
all the way up. But I started
It's
it,
gonna be very
all
expensive.
heritage,
Just-
older ones and heritage.
Mhm.
But then I started getting carried away with these,
Look at the paper.
different kinds of paper,
You know,
You
like,
have to buy the
when
right
it's
paper.
friends all over it, so
And
it's
if
like
you
that.
Don't get carried away when you're starting.
You're
You
almost done.
can, but it's too overwhelming.
It's very distracting.
Scrapbooking is too overwhelming when you
Yeah.
first started.
I
Start
love
small.
the water.
This was my very first album I did, and you'll see the difference in the techniques from there
There's a lot of stuff in it, that one.
to where I got to. I have a whole craft
Because I saw that.
I just grabbed
And
the
I
book
was,
and silk
I
floor.
was gonna call, no, it doesn't.
The basement silk
I was
floor,
gonna call and
the
take the kids.
one bedroom
Then
upstairs.
instead I took them to the reptile farm.
Okay.
Figure all this stuff
You
out.
know,
That's
All right,
right.
now, what do we have here to
No,
start?
reptile. Look at that.
Oh, we don't have to use this. This was just a giveaway for everyone. I have other stuff back
All
here.
these designs were from these drawers.
It's got cut off.
No, I see it.
That's okay. One thing you're gonna notice when you're scrapbooking, when you're putting just a family album together at home and you just throw your pictures in it, you'll find that you need a lot of pictures to try and tell the event. When you're scrapbooking, between your journaling and your layout and telling the story and the pictures, you're gonna find that what you needed 8 to 10 pictures for, sometimes you only need 3 to 4 with scrapbooking, which is really nice. Also, lots of times things will look kind of fuzzy or out of focus a little bit, or a head or something will be chopped off a little bit. If it's a really good picture and it's sentimental or it really means something to you, save it, bring it with you, because lots of times those pictures that you think won't look nice, you're gonna find with scrapbooking, they're workable. Okay?
One of the problems I had was doing the old pictures is that they are a lot smaller than like the 4x6 size. And so what I was doing was like, I have scanned and
You don't need to-
copies of them.
Because the 4x6 size only came into being, what, about
But like here, look at
maybe
this.
10, 15 years ago? So you're gonna find all different sizes, all different styles.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so this is the beginning here.
Yeah. That's why I say, look
Yeah,
at
we
through
tell
here.
different.
Yes, yes, and I.
This is
know.
back about what year? Do we have years on these?
Oh, I like the horse.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't have the years, I don't have them with me though. They're,
No, I'm pretty organized
back
when it does a lot of things, but not.
All right, and about what year?
Yeah. Oh, my Cathy wants me to send her, so I have to ask Nancy to lock it up.
Okay, so these are your oldest ones here. Okay, and then what year, about what year did these start?
She was up in Springville or someplace, but her, his brother.
So 50s we're gonna put aside
Something has
for
maple,
now, because we're gonna work with these first.
maple farm,
And then-
maple
So
syrup.
these are
In fact,
1950, this
the
is
kids from Loco
1950.
on the trail went there.
Put all these together.
You know, and stuff like that.
And these are about when?
well, these are the 1960s.
Okay. All right, so what you wanna do, now you don't need your bag anymore.
Just looking through the scrapbook gives you a lot of
That's what
nice
I'm gonna look
ideas.
at.
Oh, yeah.
This is very interesting. Or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So we're not gonna use those at all. Get around to these.
We also have another one.
All right.
Little things you put into it.
We also have
After you pick the pictures that you're going to use, the next thing you need to do is pick what kind of cardstock you want to do.
Put it in there alongside the picture.
Again, when you're at the scrapbook store, it's so overwhelming. The easiest thing to do when you're first starting out is get yourself a little organized with your pictures. Decide which ones you're going to start out doing. Take them to the store, hold them up against the cardstock, because some shades of blue may not look right with other shades of blue. And there's so many different shades, so if you take it with you, or if there's a color in the picture that you want to use as your background to draw that picture out, by having it with you, you're gonna coordinate things so much easier. You're not gonna get home, find out it doesn't work, be disgusted, price of gas, I'm not running back to that gosh darn store. I'll just do it this way, and you're not gonna be happy. You're putting your heart and your soul into this, your legacy's being passed on, you wanna be happy. Make it easy on yourself, make it less stressful, take your pictures with you, and then you can pick everything out right there. As much equipment as I have, there's times that I get disgusted that I don't have what I need.
Open doors.
Well, you know, big supply there, huh?
And also with these, they're like those phone letters with the sticky on them.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the old pictures, do they naturally turn like this because they're not as treated?
Back in the old days, they weren't. Yeah.
Like I said, that
Black
pictures
dot.
are the farthest thing from my mind.
If you're into,
Pardon me?
ribbons and stuff, or you have
Yes.
children or daughters
Where they went
that
on
you're
fishing,
scrapbooking,
stuff like
the
that.
lacy and the stuff like that is really nice if you sew. If someone makes dresses for the child or shirts, have them save a little piece of the material. Dress the child in that outfit. There's your scrapbook page. Or whoever made it, take a couple of pictures of them making it, save a little scrap of the material, and that's a nice one right there. The same with cooking. Eventually, my kids love my cooking, they want me to put recipe books together. Eventually, what I'm going to do is each recipe I'm going to have whoever in the family likes it the most, make it with me, take pictures, put the recipe in there, and put those together for the kids. Eventually, God knows if it'll happen, but it's in my brain.
Yeah, to do whatever.
Sometimes what you think would work, even with material, sometimes what you think would work doesn't. That one I think works pretty good. And I think if we just take a very pale rose and border them, to bring in that, pull out that little bit of rose in there, I think that would work.
These are kind of like these, like anybody that wants to take a piece, so.
Right, but your old days, you have that, and you have that in your paper a little bit, so you wanna pull that out. You're gonna see the difference with just using plain as opposed to. What I do is, I'll just look through my things as I'm looking and pulling different things out, seeing what might work, what might not. Everything you try gives it such a different effect. And what we're looking at, every person who looks at it differently. What I think might work, you probably won't. I have a girlfriend who thinks her colors are great, but they are so horrendous. She's into the old-fashioned, all the dark, drabby colors. She's a great quilter and stuff. Now that, I don't know if you like that or not, but see how everything takes on such a different look? Everything you try. Now, your pattern is this way. you can turn it this way. To me, this way doesn't work. I think the length of it, pulling the length, and use your paper to give you ideas too, okay?
You remember when people used to put a rose or a leaf of a rose or a leaf of a tree or a bow from a wedding or,
Yes, yeah.
they would work in your scrapbooking too, I would think.
Yes.
So they're not acid-free.
Correct.
They have
But
to
you
treat
can
it.
make what's called little shaker boxes or memory boxes, and you can put them in. It uses the plastic and the two-sided tape, and it has a little bit of room in it, so it's not real tight.
Colors, these are totally different.
Do these scrapbooks, do you know, come with non-glare?
No,
They don't.
no,
I was just sitting here and I'm wiggling it like this. I see if it became non-glare, like you can get picture frames with glasses. You know,
to me, it's too washed out.
it don't.
But see, by
she said
trying
it
different
doesn't come
things.
like that, so.
So, is there something there that you'd like to work with?
I like that color. Let's see if that looks good.
You like that one?
I don't know, like this, way it brings out the green and it's not for the
Okay. All right. So,
Do you have any of those that are out of that, or?
that's okay. These I get, when I get packs like these, I'll usually get these at Bargains Galore or Ollie's. Sometimes I'll have them for $1 or $2 for 20 or 25, which is a good buy. Okay, now, let's put all this other
Does
stuff.
part have to be cut off?
Yeah, let's get everything, first thing you always do is, once you decide what you're doing, you unclutter. Because different colors going on, too much activity takes away from what you're doing. I find an uncluttered work area works the best.
You wanna look at that?
Okay, now we're going to use the paper card. We use this one, use this other one. There's guidelines in here, all right? There's an edge right here. What you do is put the paper nice and even up against the edge. And it'll hold right there. It's got a little bit of a lip on. This area in here is where you're actually cutting. There's a little bit of a guideline here where the cut is going to be. Wherever you want your cut to be, you gotta make sure you line it up there. Not, you're not gonna have it done the way you want. And then all you do is, my cut is right here. We wanna take this little bit of area off here that's telling us all about this cardstock. We're gonna line it right up there where it's gonna cut. And we're going to do a nice, and again, you make sure that you're totally on a flat surface, nothing underneath. And you're going to do a nice solid cut. Push it away. And now you have your cardstock. Okay? Now, next. Do you want to mat it? Do you want to leave it like that? All kinds of decisions you have to make. Do you want to use any kind of corners? Do you want to take off, that was my next question, do you want to take off your white edges? Because that will make a big difference on how it looks on the paper. Okay? And just for speed's sake, so we can try to finish the page or two. Another thing you have to consider is, I have a 12 by 12 page. I only have 2 photographs, and I'm gonna give you an idea on that. You can let me know if you'd like it or not. How am I going to arrange them on the page? We have a big page, a couple pictures. How are we gonna do this so everything doesn't look lost? Are we going to journal? What are we going to journal? One thing, please, don't ever start journaling on the page or writing on the page until you put it on scrap paper first. Write down what you want. Make sure your spelling is good. Lots of times people make the mistake, especially with the kids when I work with 4-H, because they're so anxious to get their pages done and take them home and show them to mom and dad, that they'll forget to journal on the paper first, or they're just tired, they don't want to take the time. And then they get so frustrated with themselves when it didn't turn out the way that they wanted to. And as adults, we're the same. So, that's another thing, always journal it out first. Journaling is very important. The pictures only tell so much. The journaling tells
What time do you go to school?
what everyone is thinking as they're looking.
That's early. I have a
Another thing,
grandson
everyone
who's in
knows
Jersey.
how the fingerprints
Yes,
get
at
all over the
5:30.
photos. What I always
Out of
do,
the
and I
house by
forgot to
6:30.
put one in my
So he can then catch the bus.
pack tonight, but I always keep a lint-free,
New Jersey.
very
I was
soft dust
talking to him today.
cloth with me, and after I
He gets
finish
up
my
very
page,
early.
I'll just very lightly go over it to get all the fingerprints off. All right, because those fingerprints, again, acid-free. You're leaving oil in your
No.
pictures, what's gonna happen to
But
them?
every
Is this a
school has
special thing
different
that you
hours,
buy?
you know.
It's not like an old t-shirt or something, the lint-free, whatever.
Yeah, I just, even old t-shirts,
Oh.
if they're
He's in
nice
high-
ones that,
he's in high
that aren't
school.
linty, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you don't have to go buy anything special, but you do wanna get anything that's oily off those pictures.
Yeah, it's like that.
All right, now, I would leave the telephone pole in there because it's showing how the old pole is for. When you're doing what we call cropping, taking a picture from large, eliminating areas that are either distracting or your eye is drawn to them instead of what your subject is, where you want your eye drawn. A lot of cropping is done with scrapbooking. So just because you start out with the picture this size doesn't mean it's going to end up with the picture this size. And here's my idea to you. What I would do with this is I would cut the 4 individually, and I'd probably crop that. Yeah, we got that. And take them and maybe put them going up and down, or a couple just across. Or if you want to leave it the 4 sheet, you can leave it the 4
Or
sheet.
you just use one, you could put it,
You
it's
can
like,
do that
this,
too.
this one looks really good, that paper, I have like just 2 photos and picture.
Mhm. And this is paper tearing. This is your paper
Yeah.
tearing. Depending on, let's see if I can find a scrap page to show you. Depending on how you're tearing.
No, there's a good one.
No. Depending on how you're tearing, if you're going against the grain or away from the grain, you're going to see a different effect. Okay. If you're going that way, you're going to see your paper looking like that. But if you flip it over, okay, if you look around along the edges really good, you're going to see a softness here, right? See how you get this way here, but this way you have like a layer? Okay? That's the grain of your paper. And you're gonna get that different effect, depending on which way you rip your paper. So that's another thing too. You probably won't get too much into paper tearing right away. Okay.